As we've discussed on the channel, the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 story has a lot of dead ends, or loose ends, if you will, and I think my job as someone who dives into the lore of Call of Duty, the background stories, or tries to explain the endings of games is we have to try to make sense of those loose ends. And when it comes to this, there is no bigger loose end in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 than the mystery of Case. Case is the main character, the character that you play as in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And when I say he's shrouded in mystery, it's a lot more than that. You see, for example, if you go and use an RCXD in Black Ops 6 and try to look at your character, there is no character model. He is completely vanished, gone, out of thin air, not there. You can't even see what Case actually looks like. And needless to say, his backstory isn't any clearer. So in this video, that is exactly what I'm going to try to do for you guys. Answer the question, who is Case? Let me tell you, it goes a lot deeper than you think. So when Black Ops 6 begins, Case is on a mission in Kuwait alongside Jane Harrow and Troy Marshall, hunting down someone by the name of Alawi. And things almost immediately start to get weird. When they capture Alawi, we actually see Case seemingly trip out a bit when he hears the name Pantheon.
Is that us?
No, not Iraqi either.
Pantheon.
We need to leave. You won't stand a chance against them.
They haven't spotted us. Let's keep it that way. Come on.
What is weird though here is that this is not the only time that we see Case trip out. You'll see that in a little bit, but eventually we capture Alawi and things go completely wrong when Russell Adler shoots him in the face and says that he can't be involved with the CIA. Now at this point, our characters, Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, Case, and Russell Adler are all brought into the CIA. Russell Adler is taken into captivity, whereas our characters are all questioned by one of the heads of the CIA, Daniel Livingstone. Now, throughout this, they are essentially told that our characters are being kept on a short leash, but what's weird is through this entire cutscene, we don't see Case. We see all of the other characters except for one character back in the corner, seemingly a stenographer or someone recording the interview. Could that be Case, or is that actually Jackson Kane, who is the leader of the Crimson One, and we can see him in the multiplayer as seemingly one of the leaders of Pantheon. Moving forward though, our characters end up going to Bulgaria and kind of forming their own squad to try to hunt down what is going on within Pantheon. Why is Russell Adler being hunted for seemingly being the mole within the CIA? From here, Case goes on a mission where he assassinates someone to get in contact with another assassin by the name of Savati Dumas, who eventually ends up joining the teams. And eventually, we end up moving into Iraq to hunt down some sort of biological weapon that Saddam Hussein got his hands on. We actually previously heard the name Cradle from Russell Adler back at the safe house, and when Case originally heard it, he started to trip out.
But Alawi didn't know what the weapon was?
No, only they're calling it the Cradle.
The Cradle.
Cradle.
It's in Iraq right now.
Now, when they find this, it gets weird because Russell Adler knows where this mysterious biological agent is from. It is from somewhere in the United States, specifically in Kentucky.
Adler believed the Pantheon gained access to a military research facility called Advanced Technologies and Applications.
Sounds impressive.
It's located in eastern Kentucky. The building is marked as Cosper Solutions on the surface. Underneath, it's a whole different story.
This place looks pretty remote. Nothing but forest and hills. We should park a few miles out, hike the rest of the way in.
Once we're inside, our target is the biotechnology wing. Adler thinks that's where the Cradle may have come from. We need some answers on what this thing does.
Didn't you say Adler worked there at some point?
Briefly, about 10 years ago. He mentioned unusual classified programs there using human subjects. And suddenly the place was shut down and quarantined after a biohazard incident.
The Cradle.
It's sure looking that way.
So we find out here that 10 years ago, Russell Adler worked at this facility. But as Case moves into the facility, things almost immediately go wrong.
Hang on, I've got... Hey!
So Case falls in the water, cracks his gas mask, and immediately starts breathing in this gas which is inside this facility, which we still at this point have no idea what's going on. As Case works his way through some trippy mannequins, breaks his way through a door, we eventually arrive in this giant scene, a building almost out of BO6, and eventually we end up hearing a phone ringing. When we answer, it says this.
It's for you.
Fantastic to see you again, Case 1. How have you been feeling? A friendly reminder that most of the facility is off limits to patients. I hope you understand.
Welcome back, Case.
So we answer the phone, and immediately Case is welcomed as Case 1, and we are told that he is a patient here at the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division. Weird. Then we hear a voice in our head, a female voice, say, "Welcome back, Case." All of a sudden, we know we have been here before. And as we work our way through the facility, one of the next things that we hear is what Cradle was meant to do. It was used on Case, made to make him a stronger, smarter, faster, basically a super soldier.
We're stronger and faster than the rest, Case. That's what the Cradle was originally designed to do.
Okay, sit rep. Haven't heard from you at all. Everything okay?
Now, as we get the phone call, it seems as though everything is going okay with the testing, and Cradle is actually working really well on Case.
The staff was absolutely thrilled with the results of last week's Cradle trial. You're exceeding all of our expectations. In fact, we think you're ready for the next step.
Now, as we work our way through the facility, we start to kill more and more zombies, see more and more zombies, which are actually mannequins, which are at the same time turning into Pantheon soldiers. He's tripping out, needless to say, but we get another phone call. And this time, seemingly Cradle and Case aren't going so well together anymore.
You're not alone.
I think Springer mentioned this already, but we're moving you to 24-hour observation. Restraints may be necessary at times as well. I sincerely apologize. Just until we understand these recent behavioral changes. Safety is our top priority.
So that voice inside our head starts talking to us once again and essentially explains to us that Cradle started to cause us immense rage. And in that rage, we kind of broke out of the facility and let loose Cradle upon the entire thing. Hence, this facility that we found being completely abandoned because of a biohazard of the release of Cradle. Case actually caused this.
Cradle Project failed us, Case. We were out of control, violent, maniacal. And in our rage, we sabotaged this facility. Contaminated it with the same poison that runs in our veins. Remember?
And I guess the rage and side effects got so bad that the Advanced Technologies Division actually canceled the trial and actually brainwashed Case so that he would partially forget about it and actually never be able to talk about Pantheon or Cradle ever again.
I regret to inform you of this, but funding was pulled from the Cradle program last night. Don't worry, we're going to make sure you get the support you need after this. No one will know this took place. You may not even remember much yourself, but regardless, I think you're going to make one hell of an operative, Case 1.
So this is when the voice inside our head actually explains to us what actually happened here.
They tried so hard to perfect the Cradle case, but the side effects couldn't be stopped. As we know, we were the first and last trial volunteer. So its makers repurposed it into a biological weapon instead.
So after the trials went wrong on trying to create super soldiers, they canceled the trials, and oddly, the Black Ops division that was working on this was code-named Pantheon. Now, Pantheon divided out. Daniel Livingstone, who was the director of the CIA, left, and assumably this is when Adler left this division as well. But some people stayed working on this, and instead of using this to create super soldiers, they turned it into a biological weapon. But that brainwashing made it so Case maybe didn't even remember or for sure couldn't even talk about this program.
Remember your training, Case 1. You can never speak of the Cradle program or the Pantheon division. Never. Doing so could have unpredictable consequences.
Now, by the end of this mission, Case gets into kind of like a boss fight against the Disciple, and upon waking up, he seemingly wakes up with zombies attacking him, but as we find out, it's Troy Marshall and Sev waking him up after he had a seizure due to the gas within the facility. Now, here's the crazy thing. I don't even know whether that mission actually happened or after Case fell and breathed in the gas, if he was just having a seizure the entire time. We don't know. It could be in his head, it could not, but it tells us what actually happened to him within the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division back in the year 1981. We'll come back to that one in a second. Now, this mission also teaches us not only who Case is, but what Cradle does and what it did to Case. And what it did is essentially give him two personalities, the base Case, who we play as, but also this one that can snap and see zombies. And in fact, if we go to the menu screen and check out the actual menu for the Emergence mission, we can actually see the normal version of Advanced Technology and Applications and then the kind of zombieized version, which is the version going on inside of Case's head. So we now know that Case is indeed Case 1. Cradle has been used on him, and hence why he never really speaks. He's not allowed to speak about Pantheon. He's not allowed to speak about Cradle. Well, I don't know why he doesn't speak about anything else through the campaign, but he simply doesn't. But as the campaign moves forward, what we see is him helping out our team members upon getting to the end of the campaign when we find out that seemingly Jane Harrow, the main bad guy within this game, who we definitely need to do a full story on her because her backstory is crazy as well. So if you want to see more story videos like this one, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, all of that kind of jazz. So that mission was trippy. Now, after this, Case just continues to help out the main characters of the game throughout it, but there's one other weird scene. When our characters go to Kuwait and they're kind of capturing the main scientist involved with Cradle, Case is then told to interrogate him, and literally Adler tells him to throw him into a plane turbine. However, when this happens, Case once again trips out, just like when he heard Pantheon, or just like when he heard the word Cradle. But this time, it had nothing to do with his brainwashing, or it had nothing to do with Cradle. Did it? Well, we'll come back to that one. But by the end of the game, what ends up happening is we find out that Jane Harrow is planning on releasing the bioweapon of Cradle in the capital of the United States, in Washington, D.C. And our guys need to stop Jane Harrow before she is able to do so. So Pantheon ends up coming to the safe house where they have brought Jane Harrow to, and they try breaking her out. However, Case is on the case and runs up to the helicopter, jumps inside, and ends up stopping Jane Harrow. But when he does, he smashes a vial of Cradle over her head, releasing it, and once again going into a rage. Now, it seems as though the helicopter here is deep inside water. It's crashed into the ocean or something along those lines. And it seems as though both characters plunge to their death.
Case! Sit rep! Case, he responded. Livingston's cleared out the capital. Everyone's safe. It's over. We did it, Case. We did it.
But here's the problem. We don't know whether Case died or not because he never actually talks in the game. This could be either him not answering because he's dead or not answering because he simply doesn't answer. But this doesn't answer the question, who is Case whatsoever? This doesn't give us a backstory. This doesn't even tell us where he came from. Well, for that, we got to go a little bit deeper. If we go back to the year 1981, there is a Call of Duty game that takes place then, and that would be the game Black Ops Cold War. In this game, we play as a character by the name of Bell. He is a Soviet soldier who used to work for Perseus, who Adler has brainwashed with MK Ultra. In doing so, he then becomes an American soldier and works alongside Adler. However, at the very end of the game, Adler turns on him, pulls out a pistol and shoots him.
It was never personal.
So Bell gets shot in the year 1981, the same year that Case starts to get experimented on. It's also important to note that there are some documents found around the Advanced Technology and Applications Division that state that the Cradle project did not start in the year 1981. It actually came to be in around the year 1976, but in 81, that is when the trial started, the exact same time that Bell was seemingly shot. Also, the exact same year that supposedly Adler was working there as well. So it's at this time that Case is getting tested on, he goes into a rage, breaks out of the facility, releases Cradle inside, and thus is the end of the Cradle project, at least the super soldier part of the Cradle project. It's after this that Pantheon then starts using it as a biological weapon where Adler is not working at there anymore, and Case is brainwashed and can no longer talk, think, or hear those words without tripping out. But if you don't believe me that the Bell thing and the Case thing, the characters are related, the last time that he trips out in Kuwait is when Adler tells him an order, tells him to kill someone, almost as though Adler is the person in control of them, just like Adler was in control of Bell in Black Ops Cold War. He had a job to do in that game, and once again, Case does again. Now, in the final cutscene of Black Ops 6, we see a mysterious agent inside the CIA, seemingly a member of Pantheon. And I tried to guess whether or not that was Case or whether that was Jackson Kane. And to this day, we still don't know. I think we're gonna have to wait to Season 1 to find out for sure. But what I can tell you is with Case's story, I truly believe that Case is not Case. And in fact, in the missions, when you begin a mission, it tells us that the name of this person goes by the name of William Calderon. But that is always redacted. His name just always comes back to being Case. Now, I want to be clear. This is a stretch. A very, very big stretch. But William Case Calderon. Replace William with Bill, is another name for William for some reason. BCC are his initials. What is a BCC? It's a blind carbon copy for an email. In other words, an email where the original recipient is hidden when you send it forward. That seems a little bit too head of the nail for something like this to be just an accident. But again, maybe I'm looking a little too far into it. But needless to say, I really do think that it can't be a coincidence that 1981 is when Case got his first dose of Cradle, just at the exact same time that Bell would have been shot by Adler, and Adler went to go work in this facility for a very short period of time. That is not a coincidence, and I truly believe that the person that we play as Case number 1, is not William Calderon. You're playing as Bell. And that would answer the question, who is Case?